Oh, but before that, we have to find Sir Picklesworth. Hold on one second. Joanne, hi. This is Elizabeth Clare Brewington and Elton Brewington with Discover Video Podcast Network. And Joanne Wagner, our award-winning author and creator of Sir Picklesworth. Where in the world is Sir Picklesworth?
Sir Bigglesworth right now is in Mexico. He's in grand old time, meeting all the Mexican, learning about the Mexican culture and sharing it with all the kids around the world. So he's having a great time there, and he's gonna be excited to be hearing what Richard has to share and what Keith has to share, because he wants to go back to Mexico. He loved it there, and he loved the Mexican people and the Mexican culture. So he wants to go back, and so it would be nice for him to go to a new resort and see what trouble he can get into there.
Yes, I'm sure. All right, everybody. So we are now in Mexico. We are on the Brightside Express, and Richard and Keith and Pau are actually in Mexico. So over to you, Richard. Tell us all about it. And you are on the bright side. We can't hear you.
All right. So as we just spoke, leaving the breakout room, we talk about change. And I think so many people want, talk about it and complain about change, complain about their life. But if you look at the actual cartoon where a booth, who wants change? There's a massive lineup to the booth, but then the next booth says, who wants to change? It's empty. So for those who actually want to do that in itself, it does take some work, but it also just takes, as we talked earlier about the astrology, some intuition, but all of that comes from action. Because so many people want their ideal relationship, and I've talked to other people who do astrology, and they have to say, well, what are you doing to engage with that? Well, nothing. Well, it doesn't come to your door. It requires you, like anything, like purpose, intent, all require action. So we think that everything should just show up for us, but we have to show up for ourselves. And in those selves, we have to actually go out and do something, whether we engage, whether we take some learnings or education, or in who we want to be in this world. When I will say this honestly, after my first wife died in 2013, I wrote out my next relationship a year later. And all it was how would I would feel with this person. It wasn't anything about hair color or everything else. And I said I would meet her in my normal course of actions, beyond I was doing things, I was in groups. Well, 4 years later, we met in a meditation group and started having a conversation. And we started going out, and here we are living in Mexico. So, but I was taking action. So was she. We were involved, we were socializing, we were doing things together, we were learning about each other. So it took us, and again, it wasn't a magic potion. And what it did, it avoided what I call the introduction of the high phase of how people get in the low phase. It really gave us a base to start from, because we had got to know each other without all the hormones, without all the, as most divorce lawyers in second divorce, about 18 months into the marriage, the second marriage, they realized what a mistake they've made because they were riding on their hormones. So the same as taking this adventure, we took action. When we left Ontario 2020, we were committed to not repeating our life. So therefore, we kept moving around, because we were literally allowing the energies of our past to strip away from us, to drip away. And so we could become different inside. In that, we were ready when we came in 2022, when we came to Mexico, with all we had was, I think, 4 suitcases. We had let everything go to come to Mexico, not knowing, I think we knew one couple, and they gave us a house for a week, and that was our foundation over on the East Coast, a little town called Chicxulub, right next to Progreso. And that was our beginning, and that was how we started to find a way around and travel and start to meet people. But we understood we are the guests. We were coming down here to learn a new culture, a new language, and a new place to be for ourselves, and drink, and literally all the things we thought we needed, the shiny stuff that we thought we needed for our life to be what we wanted to be. So we love living in the Mexican culture. I mean, there's lots of shiny places to be, you look at Tulum and all these places. That's not where we want to be. We want to be in the Spanish community. To me, that's where the connectivity is. That's where the conversations are. That's where we want to be, to learn from. and have our, go to the local tiendas, go to the local stores and make those connections. And I'm all about connections. How do I meet these people and greet them? And then they remember you, because I said earlier, everything here is relationships, everything. And first the relationship starts with yourself. And but they get to know you when you're polite, they'll always look out for you. They'll always look after you when you walk in. I mean, many times I've grabbed some fruit and I look at it, no, that's not good enough. And they'll put it down and bring me the fresher one, or one that's going to ripen in a couple of days. So the other part I want to step into is, if you want to share the slides now, Elizabeth, what the culture here is, a lot of celebration. Like every little town, every little place has multiple celebrations. We're in a little place called Chapala, and they have very loud festivals. I mean, really loud. So as they say, the land of the barking dogs, but it's also the land of celebration. In so many ways, they're doing something. They're fundraising, they're engaging. But as we were traveling on, this is actually Puerto Vallarta on the West Coast. We spent 2 months there, living in an Airbnb. So, and we were back off the main stretch. So we were about 10 blocks away from the main street. So in that, we were able to go down and walk the beach and find a coffee shop. This is the Sand Art in Morelia. When they have their Dia los de Muertos, the month of they call it Day of the Dead. It's an entire month of celebration in October. Is the celebration of the living. And they have booths set up. They have music set up. They have the sand art that stretches all around some of the main squares. There's one strip that's like about a mile-long walkway filled with sand art, filled with booths, filled with food booths and things like that. So it's constant engagement and very interesting and intriguing, and beautiful, beautiful costumes and colors. I mean, many of the street side restaurants, again, the architecture really is what I call the old architecture. And I experienced that and I didn't recognize the time in Peru in 2015, the old buildings, the massive, massive old churches, towering churches. So to walk into these buildings and look at them and the craftsmanship, the workmanship, you're looking at cement blocks that are 300 pounds, you're looking at a 200-foot wall and there's not a waver in the wall. So the way they put these together, the crafting, and I mean, some of these ceilings in these churches are like 80 feet high. So again, I love walking and the pillars and the structure, and again the busyness. A lot of in these cultures like Morelia, the local people are out having coffees, having conversations, and they're not on their phones. They're talking. They're talking to each other. The children are playing. The children go into squares and play, and the children play very, very. They're like we used to play, hard. They run hard, they skate hard, they do things, in a very fast way. So walking around, because we don't have a car, everything we do is by foot. So everything we do is an experience. Just going to the store is an experience. But with Morelia, where we're heading back to next Thursday, I go out and I can walk for hours, just looking at the buildings. Even though it's there, there's some fresh perspective, because the city's 1 million people. There's so many streets to see in that, and have and multiple coffee shops. One coffee shop, literally, I was walking 2.5 miles one way to go have coffee there. That's me. But I mean, because I wanted to have the experience of where it was, the people, the traffic. So, and just listening to the conversations. So it's not, I don't find any of it boring, because too, as we have simplified our life, we have created more of an experience for ourselves each and every day. And it's not about who we are. It's what we're just seeing and trusting ourselves as we go around these places, but feeling the vibration of the city, feeling the vibration of the people, feeling their connectivity. So highly recommend, that you come down and not have to have the experience of going to the resort. Because a lot of these, what I call their isolated experience, they're specialized. And when I was, I'll end at this. When I was in Playa del Carmen, we were there for 2 weeks in Cozumel, 2 weeks Playa del Carmen, living off the main section. And the one main street behind the resort is a street filled with shops. And in truth, that street could be anywhere in the world, because it's where they come off and these guys try and sell them that, and then they go back to the resort, which is all fine. It's all cultured. But to me, that's not where we want to be. We want to be back 6, 7 blocks back. We want to be in Playa de Carmen. I found the rickiest old wooden shack coffee shop that had great coffee and great cheesecake. That was what made my day. Not the shiny stuff. The one I sat, and just experienced it from there, where they make a living from the simplicity of that. And it wasn't presentation, it was just the authenticity of it. And that's what we enjoy. And with that, it allows us to be authentic in ourselves and my wife and I's relationship. Thank you.
Wow. And Richard and I spent a lot of time trying to put those visuals so that you actually feel like you're with Richard in Mexico right now. And any questions before I bring on my next speaker? Yes, there we go.
I have a question, Richard. When people talk about moving to Mexico, all I ever hear is it's the crime and the violence and the drug, everything. Do you feel safe there? And I imagine you do, otherwise you wouldn't be there. But where you go, safe?
Yes, we have. Now, my wife does the research too, but I mean, we've been in like 20 or 30 locations. We go out in the daytime. I do a lot of walking. There's a few areas now. I'm going to say this cartel are everywhere because that's a part of the culture, but they're also in North America too. It's not just a Mexican cartel.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
And there is, but again, we just pay attention. But everywhere I've been extremely safe. Like I said, I was lost one time early, and the guy, I went just asked this guy a question. He walked me to the bus and told the bus driver where I need to go. And I was in Puerto Vallarta, and I tripped over a sidewalk and did a bit of a face plant. 2 cars stopped to help me up.
Oh, good. That's nice.
So, and we've seen women that have lived down here. Now they live in these like expat areas, but been here for 15, 20 years, and they always felt safe. But I do probably more exploring than most. But again, we're not out at night. We're not in the bars. We don't drink or smoke. I'm a coffee shop, but I have felt safe. We have felt safe everywhere we've been.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that because I'd like to go. I mean, there are resorts there I'd like to visit, but all I hear is don't go to Mexico.
Yeah, the media does this thing.
Yeah, the media does this thing. Well, that's all right.
Actually, there was an article by I think it was on 20 in the morning, Sunday mornings. They were talking about more Americans are actually retiring in Europe and other places because there's some programs that retire or transfer your Social Security to cover medical expenses and income, and they pay for your rent. It's amazing. It's really quite amazing. So, I mean, you'd be surprised the benefits that you do get from your retirement experience.
Yes, go ahead, Richard, because you're doing the expat living. Yes,
well, it is expat because, and we talk about cost, okay, and medical proficiency, and we think that Mexico and these other countries are less medically. They're not. These people are extremely advanced. I was going to get cataract surgery in Canada. I was 6 months just to maybe see a specialist, maybe 5 weeks from the time I'm really in the hospital for my first examination of both eyes being done with multifocal lenses that we can't get in Canada. $4,000 Canadian.
Wow, amazing.
So you know what the U.S. costs. It's the most ridiculous medical cost on the planet. It's obscene. Like there's so much here we can walk into, a pharmacy and we walk out within an hour with a bit of a diagnosis and might cost you 500 pesos, which is about $30.
And another American is moving to Belize, so we are experiencing a lot of expat living overseas. And Richard, your presentation has been quite amazing. Anyone else has a question before we bring our next speaker? Okay, going once, going twice.
Thank you.
And we love meeting Richard because it's so fascinating that he and his wife are living in Mexico and showcasing to us what a wonderful place it can be. And now we're going to give you a nice treat because we want to give you confidence so you travel to Mexico and stay at Keith's resort. So Keith, I'm going to just stop recording because you're going to show them how wonderful